Well, good afternoon. This is Bishop Jerry Maynard, and I am joining you on this great day of celebration. Yesterday, we celebrated Fathers, and today we're celebrating freedom, Juneteenth. We're doing so because of Proclamation of Emancipation for slaves, for Black people who were enslaved and freedom came. And so we are thankful that we're able to talk concerning freedom today. We need to know that we do have freedom, and freedom is a part of who we are, uh, period. But in addition to having freedom here on earth in the United States of America, or wherever else we may go on this planet, we have freedom in God, and whom the Son sets free is free indeed. And so today I come before you, and I am thankful that we can talk about freedom today. God bless you, Marsha Thompson, and God bless you, uh, Betty Patrick. And I am thankful that you're joining me, MMC. Okay. Um, I apologize over the fact that we were having some problems connecting. We're going to get this worked on. I would like to think it's probably me more than anyone else. Uh, and just have to work on it and get it together and make sure that we come on. There appears to be a disconnect, and we're working on that and make sure that we can have it. As a matter of fact, I have uh, three of you on usually by now, and I would have been on for quite some time, and we would have been in discussion. But let me just say this to you. I think that it's important about Juneteenth. Um, I don't want at all to take it lightly. I was there during the struggle, Marietta Fondren. I was there during the struggle. And I know what it means because I was there. I was there in particularly in a major role in the 60s, in the 70s, and in the 80s. I was right there on the front line. And so I knew what it meant to argue in court. I knew what it meant to talk in school systems, business, with banks, bankers, industry, business. Yes, I knew what it meant to talk to people with regard to hospitals because of the unfair treatment that we had. One of the things that I don't like to do is always just go into the past. I like to talk about the present and the future. However, when it comes to remembering where we were, from which we've come, and where we're headed, we have to give some attention to our past. Some people think it's been a long time ago, but it hasn't been that long since we were able to feel to a great extent and degree of how we feel today. I know that we have a lot of ills within our society, a lot of problems within our society, and discrimination yet exists. Segregation in many places exists, and I understand all of that today, and I understand the significance of people across the United States coming together and saying that this is the day that we honor, celebrate, give attention to the Proclamation of Emancipation. And I believe that the practice. You can have a proclamation of emancipation, but we must have a practice. There must be the realization that this exists for all of us, because it is rather sad that we enter into situations that causes us not to be in our own spirit, in our own mind, free. But I want you to know that in the midst of all that we're doing and saying, those of us who are part of the body of Christ must come to this particular resolve, and that is, from a spiritual point of view, we are free. For whom the Son, who the Christ, who the Christ sets free, is free indeed. We need not be chained to the thoughts of yesteryear. We need not be in bondage to sin. We need not be in bondage to those actions that and attitudes that come from the sin nature. We can be free, free in terms of our lives, free with regard to our participation, free as it relates to our advancement, free as taking the place in life where we know that we should be, and not feel that we're bound by life circumstances, because we're not. And I'm just saying that today, that those of you who feel that you're less than who you are, I want you to move away from that posture and come to where you ought to be and know that you are free. Now, you can be in the midst of a room or in a room where people have treated you and ignore you, but what difference does it make? Because who you are is not predicated on what they think. Who you are is predicated on who you are in God and your connectional relationship with Him. He is the one who caused you to have life. Thank God for mom and dad. They did their part. But in the final analysis, life comes from God. And since life comes from God, we owe it all to Him. And since we owe it all to Him, then we should bow before Him and unto Him only, because He is life. He's not only the source of our life, He is life. For me to live is Christ, and to die is gain. And so today we celebrate Juneteenth with a lot of these people, wherever they may be, people who we don't know by name, people we've never been in the presence of, people who don't know us. But one thing we have in common, that our ancestors were enslaved. And when you think about all the things that happened back at that time, the degradation, all of the things that happened at that time and that are not happening now. Now, I understand systemic racism. I understand systemic racism. Without question, I understand it, because we have systems that perpetuate racism, racist attitudes, place people in certain positions and say to them that you're all right, but there's a place for you. I remember one of the persons that many people thought so well of in his movies. He was a star, particularly in those Western movies and cowboy movies, as we call them. I don't mind calling his name. His name was John Wayne. A lot of people just thought so much of him. And then one day he came out and he let everybody know what he thought of people of color. And he said that We need to stay in our places. The question is, where is our place? On earth, our place is anywhere we want to be and what our ability affords us to be and to go. There is no uh, place, whether it be institution, geography, uh, industrial, educational, social, economic. There's no particular place where we have to be because we are relegated to that particular place. There isn't such a thing as it relates to us. We have to thank God that we have opportunity to excel beyond our own imagination and without the limitation of those who feel that we only have a special place set aside for us that will allow us only to reach a certain mark. I thank God that I understand that when I gave my heart to Christ and became a child of God, that opened up the doors and opened up the windows of opportunities for me. If I could just trust in Him and believe by faith, I have noticed through faith, many doors have opened for me, for my family. Many doors have opened for others for whom I have prayed and helped to negotiate and navigate through things in life so that life would be better for them and their families. I am not at all bashful in saying that I has expended a lot of energy in the years that I have been living to help others. I would say at least 63 years of my life, I have helped others to achieve, and I am not regretful at all for one day that I spent or the energy that I spent, the time, the money, the effort to help others, because I do believe that this world in which we live is a world that is large enough for all of us. The opportunities are there for all of us, and all of us should be able to enjoy this earth. After all, the earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof, the world and they that dwell therein. There are so many things that God has for us that we can benefit from without stepping on each other's toes, without depriving others of anything, but saying to ourselves that what God has afforded us, we can enjoy it and we don't have to beg. We don't have to step to the back. We don't have to act as if we don't belong, but we move quickly and forward, knowing that what God has for us, Barbara Watson, is for all of us. And so we move forward in that. Uh, Today, Juneteenth, is a great day of celebration, and all of us should be thankful that we've come this far. But all of us should look in our beyond and see that we have much more room to move into because it's not over yet. I said it's not over yet. The journey is not complete. I like to deal with Robert Frost and say that we have miles to go before we sleep. We cannot rest where we are now. We have to move on. The battle has been in the street. In the 60s, it was in the street. The 70s and 80s, when I was out there, it was in the street. Then we went into the courtrooms and we argued in the courtrooms. Now we see ourselves going back into the streets again. It's going to take courtroom dynamics and it's going to take street participation. It's going to take people who are willing to stand up and stand tall. It's going to take people who are not afraid, people who will say that I will do all that I can to make sure that the years which come after me will afford those who come in those years to have a better life even than what we had. And I believe that we can. Thank God for education. Education has helped all of us. There were those who felt at one time that we could not learn, that our brain was not there. They even talked about our head and our forehead and a thick skull, they called it, that we could not learn. But we proved that to be wrong with doctors and lawyers and people of education, people of medicine, engineers, people in the social life, all the things about which man represents. We have excelled in those. We have had inferior schoolrooms, but that did not keep us from taking the posture of inferiority. We went through, we didn't have the kind of books that others had to read from, but we read the books that we had and learned the particulars thereof and came forth as champions. I'm going to tell you, nothing can keep you down forever but you. If God be for you, who then can be against you? He will hear the cries of people, just as he heard the cries of the Jews for those 400 years in Goshen, and they were delivered. He heard the cries of the blacks in the United States of America when we were in those southern states and we were suffering. He heard the cries, and because he heard the cries, he brought us to a place where we're presently occupied. But I'm going to tell you, the occupation of this particular space is not where we need to always be. We need to look beyond where we are today and see where we can be in our tomorrow. And we need to take hold of the truth that God has given to us, that we are, in accordance with our own preamble, that we're all men created equal. Not two-thirds, but we're all full 100% men and women, and we're created equally. And we have the right to pursue happiness. All of the Constitution and its amendments are applicable to us and our communities. Thank God for June 10th. I am grateful for it, and I trust that you're excited about it equally as well. I also believe that we have to bring ourselves to a place where we don't fear. We don't fear. What is there to fear? I believe President Roosevelt said that there's nothing to fear but fear itself. And I believe that wholeheartedly. You cannot walk around fearful and acting as though you are afraid of your own shadow. You will never arrive at the place where you want to be if you have fear to take the first step. We must begin the journey. We must begin the journey. Those of us who have been in the journey for a long time, we must keep up our pace. It's no time to slow down. I'm 81 and I don't feel no ways tired. I don't feel that I need to slow down. I don't need to slow up. And rather than that, I need to increase. I need to accelerate what I'm doing and say that it's our time. It's our time. I know it looks dark sometimes, particularly when you watch television and see what they're doing in Congress and how some of those people who are supremacists, who come and say all kinds of ungodly things, and you know that it's a racial situation of which they speak. But I'm telling you, that should not be an impediment. It should not impede our progress. We need to say to ourselves, through the help of God, we're going to move forward and we're not going backward. Why should I go backward when I don't have to? Why should I stand still and have no pace and no forward moving when I don't have to? Why not take the truth? Why not take the ability? Why not take the empowerment? Why not take the wisdom, the knowledge, and the understanding that God has given and move forward and move as swiftly as I possibly can? I challenge you to not just let this particular day be the only day that you celebrate your freedom. That this should not be the only day that you celebrate the proclamation of emancipation. This should not be the only day. Every day you get up, you need to get up and say, I'm free. I bend nor bow to anyone. I respect all people. I'm concerned about all people, but I will not be a servant of and become subservient to you because of who you think you are and who you're trying to relegate me to be. I am somebody, and I didn't just become somebody. I was somebody at birth. You are somebody at birth, and you have great reason to rejoice and to move forward because you are somebody. Well, God bless you. I just wanted to share with you today as it relates to the celebration that's going on. Banks are closed and offices are closed and people are celebrating, but the celebration should not end today. I understand about the killings on yesterday when people were celebrating June 10th, and I understand all those shootings and things, but don't you let it stop you. If you're alive, continue to move forward. And as you move forward, there's somebody behind you that either you can pull to where they ought to be, or you can inspire them to come to where they need to be. Make sure you continue to advance so that when they reach your level, that they have not really reached the level that's for them. Thank you for joining me today. I trust if you got anything out of this, share it with somebody. I believe that God loves us and he wants the best for us. Sorry we cannot be together geographically, but through the principles and through the effort of online capability and also through technology, we are where you are. God bless you on today. Thank you for all your comments. And again, we're sorry that we could not hook up in the manner in which we desire today. But those of you who joined me, thank you so very much.